Lloyd Reed, State Farm.
Tom Swifter, Starlight Motorsports.
Randy Boyer, Harold General Publishing.
Tom Streeting with Pearl River Bank.
Patrick Baumgartner, Pearl River Bank.
Your turn, Sue.
Randy Gilmer, State Bank of Illinois.
Brad Brunel, State Bank of Illinois.
Calvin Grant, Grant County.
Steve Gilmer, State Bank of Illinois. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you very much.
And
Jean Cobb, Illinois, Area Chamber of Commerce.
Matt Shane, Superintendent of Schools.
Tracy Lahman, Assistant Superintendent.
and with that, we'll turn it over to Mr. Shane.
We just got one person, but Darlene sitting back there in the corner.
Oh, where'd she go?
She's back there.
She's hiding?
I thought she doesn't even hear us.
Marlene?
She's running the
Do you want to flip now, or are you going to?
Yeah, we can. Oh, Marlene knows what they are, which ones. No, that wasn't it. Are you ready, Marlene? Okay. Well, good. Yes, it is. Good afternoon, and thank you again. I can't believe it's been a year since I did the presentation for the State of the Schools. We're in a very different situation now in our school district than last year. If you recall, last year I started out saying we're in a very critical situation with regards to funding in our school district. Fortunately, we don't have to talk about that and share that information. The community has decided the funding future on our levels, and also the state did as well. So what I get a chance to do now is that what we did midway through the year, I proposed to the board that we switch gears and now move immediately into looking at a strategic plan for the next 5 years. It had been about 10 years since the school district had formally gone through a process, and that's what I want to share with you amongst a few other items on the agenda in the next few minutes regarding the school district. So I love it because I get to talk about the future and not talk about what's imminent right in the present, and what we're going to be doing and working on and be recognized for in the next 5 years. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that process as well. First of all, some district-wide updates that I want to share with you, and that I also shared with the employees of the district in our all-employee meeting back in August. We did some things, just generally speaking, over there. We're working on completely overhauling our wireless infrastructure. We obviously know, and in school districts they're unique because we're talking about potentially not only multiple users, but users with multiple devices wanting to access wireless for educational purposes. And so we're going to look at our infrastructure of our wireless to make it much more robust to be able to handle. I always get my IT guys, and I know it's always been Christmas because they come back and say the bandwidth in our wireless has just shrunk because everybody got their new device for Christmas and their kids are coming into the schools and using them. So we want to make sure that we have in the future, and that's going to be part of one of our 4 major aims of the district in the next 5 years in our strategic plan. So we're working on that currently right now, working with a company to review what we currently have, the performance of what we currently have, and then obviously what next steps need to be taken in order to support. Because bottom line is the utilization of technology in the educational setting requires infrastructure of wireless. It's not just it'd be nice to have, it's a requirement to be mobile, to move, not to be plugged in. Handhelds, kids are coming in with their mobile devices, they require wireless. So it's been a philosophical and a paradigm change in technology over the last about 5 to 10 years. We also did a card key security update. We're going to have card keys that actually are the ID of the employee, and whole system was revamped and actually replaced. That allows us to do some other features internally in the buildings to release doors, lock doors, is just in case, again, to taking some extra steps with regards to the security of our schools. And that's going to be done in the elementary, has been done already in the elementary, the middle school, the high school, the community ed building. I believe they're working on it this week, so hopefully that will all be taken care of. We did some things also at the community ed building in addition of a door that's electronically locked because of the uniqueness of the layout of that school in that building. So we're working on making sure that we take those steps. That's what happened over the summer and continues to happen this fall. The middle school roof project, those are always big projects. They needed to be done. It's quite an investment of dollars. I learned as a superintendent, you don't really learn about roofs until you actually have to pay the bill to replace a roof, and learn quite a bit about it. And it was a major project that we needed to use some deferred maintenance to make sure that we continue to keep our schools obviously appropriately roofed. And so it was just in line. It ran out of its warranty, and it was a big project that got completed this summer. There's a very exciting group of individuals that are working on a project to renovate the auditorium. The auditorium is in dire need of really an overhaul with its sound system, its lighting, the seats. If you've ever been in the auditorium, you know what I'm talking about. It's in dire need. It is a large dollar item. So what we had is we had a number of people that came forward, from the music boosters to past alumni, and if you were around at any time just a few weekends ago, I think Dave did inform us it's the largest event he's ever hosted with that when they closed down River Street, of the 1,800 people that came there to watch the original lineup of Butch Automatic and the Four Speeds. And the mayor was out there and everything. And I had heard reports, people flew in to see that show. And so there's a huge grassroots ground effort from past alumni, people that were in schools right when that auditorium was built in the mid-'70s. And so it's a really, really a wonderful project. They raised over $20,000 that'll go to the fund. It's going to be facilitated financially through the Delano Pie Foundation, the DPI, Partners in Education Foundation, and those dollars will just go through that because it's a nonprofit, and so those dollars will be used to renovate that. It's hopefully by April that project will be completed, so it's quite an aggressive project. Majority of all of the funds are privately raised, and that's, again, just a partnership with our community for people that care very deeply about that facility and wanted to bring it back and make sure that it's up to the standards that it should be. So if you ever get a chance to see the video's out there. It's gone viral. They did a commercial, and it's just wonderful. So if you ever get a chance to see it, I know that if you have a card, you can give it to Tracy and she can fire it out to you guys as well. It's just a neat video, and it was played actually during that evening as well. The Safe Routes to Schools grant, this is a partnership with the City of Delano. Phil Kern and myself and our staff worked very closely together last. It would have been over the winter time, late fall, winter time, and into the spring to access some federal dollars that actually go through the Minnesota Department of Transportation. And we were successful in getting a Safe Routes to Schools grant. And if you could see here, the blue line right here, these orange lines are already existing paths, either along, this is Elm to give you a point of reference, and this is the football field, obviously. There's paths that go around. There's a path that comes out of that neighborhood around to the ball fields to the elementary. But what we didn't have is a safe way for students and even community members to access the school campus on foot or on bike and get to the north side of the campus, specifically our elementary students coming out of neighborhoods that live south of Elm. So what we're going to be doing, and this project will start in the spring of this coming school year, so in spring of 2014, if you notice, it'll be right along the dentist's office. This is going to be going along. One slight change that we've made is this will go around this parking lot, and it'll go right next to the tennis courts and then come back up to meet there. The reason why we did that is we didn't want students to be crossing two driveways of a parking lot. We wanted to make the pathway as least intrusive to crossing driveways in that piece. So then it'll go all the way up by the practice field, all the way up to there's an existing sidewalk. This is the DASUS ice arena. And there's some existing sidewalk there. Then that sidewalk ends, and then we're going to make new sidewalks along here to get right to the front of the elementary building. And this is to answer that need that we have in our community of accessing our school district campus, which is utilized not only by students but community members at large, to be able to access that campus on foot or on bike. And we're very, very excited to get the grant and the dollars to do that. And so we'll be moving forward. The financial dollars will be going through the city, and then we'll be working in conjunction with the engineer. We've already got the plans laid out, so we'll hopefully be able to start that. It's about an 8 to 10 foot wide bituminous pathway that will go through the campus. So another way to be able to access our campus in a safe way. So we're very, very excited about that and upcoming. Okay, the Delano Public Schools 5-year strategic plan. This is the front of our cover. Tracy over here was, she has a marketing background, actually a communications background. She did a great job in putting this. If you ever get our wall calendar as a parent or as a community member, that's what the front of the wall calendar looks like. It's almost a shame because the first thing I did is I put it up in my office and you cover the cover so you don't get to see it. But within that calendar, it highlights what the strategic plan is all about. And there are basically 4 aims to the strategic plan. There's technology, curriculum, facilities, and professional development. That's what we're going to be recognized for in the next 5 years. Those are the 4 specific district aims, the benchmarks that we will be working on in the next 5 years, currently already working on them in the next, starting this year and going through the next 5 years. The process, how this 5-year strategic plan was developed. There are some organizations, including school districts, that take 18 months to put a whole strategic plan together. I am not a subscriber to that philosophy. I am much more of a subscriber to let's make sure that this is an all-involved, inclusive process, but we did this actually in 3 months. So this started back beginning in April of 2013, and it started with feedback sessions were held with district employees, parents, and the greater Delano school community. We held one here right in the senior hall here and facilitated great conversations about what are we doing well, what do we need to work on, what should we be doing in the next 5 years, what's a priority to you, those types of things. And it actually started with an online survey to collect some soft data, and it was very simple. What's working well? What do we need to work on? And that was our collection of soft data. Then the sessions that took place with all of our district employees. It's not just our teachers, it's our paras, our custodians, all of our district employees, and then an invitation to a session for the greater community in our school district to be able to give our constituents, our stakeholders, a stake in being able to provide feedback on what they believe should be the priorities of how the school district should go and making that roadmap in the future. Well over 1,000 hours of work were spent on the strategic plan process. I could tell you this, my cabinet did an unbelievable job. And when I say my cabinet, those are all the district administrators, the principals at every site. And if you think about it, April and May are kind of busy months in a school year. And they went very, very aggressively after this and worked very hard to facilitate this process with their staffs on multiple fronts in providing this feedback. And there was a tremendous amount of time and effort to put this together in a short period of time. The priorities were determined, which created a vision for the school district, and that is our vision for the school district, which is a systemic academic growth to promote educational excellence and continued improvement for every learner in a digital society. Okay? And that became our vision, and that was language that was used through these sessions as we culminated to bring that statement together. This process was completed in June of 2013, and the school board acted on the strategic plan in July. And I laid it out last month at our all-employee meeting. This 5-year strategic plan is not a stagnant document. Okay? I've been a part of organizations in school districts, and they got this big 3-ring binder, and they say, here's your strategic plan. And what do most of the employees do? They grab that and they go, oh, look, that's nice. Look at the first page. And then they put it in the drawer and it collects dust. Actually, our plan is 1 page that's on the website, 1 single page, and that actually is sitting in front of you. That's all it is. It's extremely simple. And under each of those 4 aims, technology, curriculum, professional development, and facilities, there is a short work plan that has a very specific measurable goal that's no more than 3 to 6 months in length and have specific action steps, how to achieve those goals, who's responsible to achieve that goal or that particular action step, and then a timeline that when we will get this done. So the theory behind this is the way the strategic plan works, it's a living document where I am responsible as the superintendent to work with my cabinet to get updated on the work plans. How are we doing in facilities? How are we doing in curriculum and professional development? And how are we doing in technology? And then I go back on a quarterly basis and report to the board. Once our short-term work plan has been completed in that 3 to 9 months period, we write a new work plan based on the next logical step. And so it becomes an active, living document that's constantly reviewed, constantly tweaked to make sure that we are on track of the vision of the school district in providing that systemic academic growth, which is key. Words like alignment was huge. We're not just a small Delano school district anymore. We service well over 2,300 students in this school district. It wasn't that long ago when a graduating class was 145, 125. Now we graduate 200, and we're growing. So now it is a point where our district actually is, there are more districts that are smaller than us in the state of Minnesota than there are bigger. So we need to look at systemic ways of providing these types of areas in curriculum, technology, professional development, and obviously a very strong look at our facilities. Something to think about for the next 5 years. I'm going to show you a video that kind of sparked quite a bit of conversation and also just realization of the world we live in today, specifically with technology and education. Okay, obviously that we do live in exponential times with regards to technology and how we've evolved in the world. The constant, and one of the things that was mentioned in that video is that we are preparing our students with a skill set for problems that don't exist yet, and to use technologies that haven't emerged yet or haven't even been invented yet. And so it's an extremely important thing that we continue, and we have in this district, is to make sure that we make those inroads with folks that are in our community, businesses that are in our community, about what is real world work being done out there and how do we train our students to do that. And the use of technology has changed that drastically over the number of years. And that's why I shared that with our employees, that when we strategic plan, 5 years in some occasions is an eternity. so many things will change. And that's why it's so critically important that our strategic planning remains dynamic and will change when we require to make the change to meet the needs of these students. We are recognized of providing a world-class education in this community for students to be successful after they graduate from here, going on to another institution, going into the workplace, being trained, and being successful in doing what they do beyond our educational institution. So it was an extremely important point that we needed to make as a school district, is that we remain dynamic and change the way we do business when it's necessary to provide for the needs of our students. I just want to briefly share the work plans that we have currently that we're doing right now. First, in technology are the 4 major aims of the school district. The vision of our technology work plan is that we will have a mobile digital learning environment that enhances learning, curriculum, instruction, assessment, and professional development for all. Our goal is that our short-term, remember, these are just in bits and pieces. Our short-term SMART goal is that the wireless infrastructure will be upgraded in the district facilities by December 1, 2013. That means that we will be able to have a wireless infrastructure that supports the current needs of students and staff that are utilizing mobile devices in our schools. The action steps: we're going to identify correct hardware to fulfill the district's wireless facility needs, and then we're going to purchase and install that hardware. Very simple. We're right in the midst of identifying what we need to be doing in the next step. The evaluation we're going to be doing, a part of our work plans is we're constantly evaluating how do we know we've achieved our goal? How do we know we're moving in the right direction with regards to the strategic plan? And there's both quantitative and qualitative data that will show us. We're going to have a comprehensive measurement of our wireless capabilities right now. Companies doing that, and they're going to be preparing a report within the next few weeks. And then the staff and the student feedback will be facilitating online surveys throughout this and many of our work areas in the 4 major aims of the strategic plan. Curriculum. A vision of our curriculum is that we will have a vertical and horizontal alignment of pre-K through 12 curriculum that prepares all learners for college and career readiness. And that's extremely important. It's one of the big areas, not that one's more important than the other, that we're doing making huge inroads and making sure we have an aligned curriculum that is up to date and that it is vertical and horizontal, so you can look at it in every direction to make sure that we're doing this right in progression from before they even enter kindergarten all the way up through when they graduate from our school district. We're going to design and align curriculum map for pre-K. Look at where our gaps are. Where do we have redundancies? Are the skill sets that are being taught at this grade level or at that particular course is appropriate in real world applications and skill sets necessary? The action steps that we're going to establish to do that, we're going to establish a tool to write the aligned sequence curriculum map. That's all on our Google Docs. It's already been established. It's already there. Teachers are already working on that and putting that map together. We're going to create a timeline for the curriculum alignment, which will be predominantly through this school year. We're going to meet holistically as an entire staff, the teaching staff. In August, we already spent time on this. November, we're going to spend time on this during a workshop day. January, we're going to spend time on this. And if you just received the new calendar that went out, we built in an additional day in April to continue to work on curriculum mapping. And we're going to communicate that goal and the allocation of professional development time that I just talked about to do that curriculum mapping. The quantitative and qualitative evaluation, we're going to have obviously a completion of the entire curriculum map of all of what's taught in our school district, and then staff surveys about the process and identify the needs for next steps. And we've already gotten feedback from staff from our August workshop of what we got to do differently to make sure that this process continues. So it's constantly living, breathing document. Our professional development, the vision of our professional development, third out of our 4 aims, is to provide professional development opportunities that are focused in the areas of curriculum alignment, technology, and job-embedded professional learning communities, measured for effectiveness, relevancy, and viability over the next 5 years. Our teachers need the appropriate tools in their tool belt to do the great job that they already do with our students. We need to continue to sharpen the tools. We need to continue to add to those tools in those areas to make sure that they're supported to do the excellent job that they do. So we're going to provide 6 to 9 hours of district professional development time to design that aligned curriculum. The big focus for professional development time is all going to be on that curriculum. The action steps that are going to be taken or have been taken are already started in the 2013 professional development days are proposed to the Staff Development Committee. That's already been done. We're going to inform our staff of the professional development goals and processes. We're going to explore professional development options and alignment to the strategic plan. So we've already mapped out this year. The job throughout this year is to map out year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5 to support our teachers and our educators in doing their job. There's your evaluation again. The curriculum map for every class and course will be established. And then obviously we're going to evaluate each professional activity day and professional development day. Last but not least, of the 4 major aims of our school district, our facilities. This, again, is a need that's not only shared by the school district, but the city in general, as a community as a whole. We know that we need to continue to work on our facilities, and what do they look like? We're going to have the vision of our facilities as a comprehensive facility for the district campus that maximizes pre-K through adult environment and support co-curricular activities. So it's a much more holistic approach of looking at our facilities, okay? The goal is to identify facility needs and priorities. What is the first step? What do we do? What's the next step that we do with regards to our facility? We know a number of our community members have great ideas about how to do that or about what should be a priority. That process is going to take place this school year. We're going to complete a comprehensive needs assessment, which includes buildings, departments, activities, district, and community. And it'll include 21st century learning and security in that discussion as well. So we're going to facilitate the same process we did with our strategic plan. We're going to do the same thing with our facilities and get that input from our stakeholders. And that's important to give us direction and a good strategic roadmap and what the facilities, what does this place physically look like over the next 5 years, okay? We're going to have some evaluation there, documentation from our chainsaw planning, which I just described of how we did our strategic plan. We're going to get some priorities there, some soft data, some hard data, and then we're also going to survey as well. Okay? The 4 major aims of curriculum, technology, professional development, and facilities are aligned. Okay? Bill Gates, obviously everybody knows who he is, he says technology is just a tool. In terms of getting the kids working together and motivating them, the teacher is still the most important person in that room in facilitating that learning. So it's important that we are doing these things in an aligned fashion in a systemic, unified way to move this district into the next step of being and continuing the tradition of excellence in our schools. Some other aligned initiatives that I want you to be aware of that we're working on in the school district. One is the Delano Partners in Education, which is the DPI organization. There are 4 major funding strategies that organization is working on. And it's off the concept, and their vision right now is that these individuals are working in these 4 major strategies to privately raise funds to support the technology needs of our school district. I just got done telling you one of the major 4 benchmarks is technology. Well, to build an infrastructure in wireless and to continue to stay up to date with cutting-edge technology in our school district costs a ton of money. Now, some school districts have gone out and said, well, we'll just levy our property owners for taxes to do this. Well, we're a property-poor district, and that doesn't necessarily become reality in this school district. And I've already shared that information with you last year when we talked about just making such a huge effort to get an operating levy going. We believe that there are other ways. Now, the state is going to fund us the way the state's going to fund us. Some of that's in our control, some of it's not. But what we can control is how private individuals can get together and seriously work together to build a foundation to support the needs, the future needs, of those kids that are going to be realizing those jobs that don't even exist yet in an exponentially changing world. And so I'm not of a point, and I don't want to come across as being maybe facetious about this, but I know what's going to be funded to me. It's not going to be enough to run this world-class school district. And I realize the reality of where our community is in supporting our schools. But that doesn't stop us to make sure that we explore and exhaust every opportunity that we possibly can to get funds into our school district, whether it's privately or publicly, to make sure that we stay focused on making sure those students get the world's best education they possibly can. Because that is our future. It's the future community members that are going to contribute to our community. And it's vital that that foundation of an excellent school district stays viable. just some real, it's a proud moment. Actually, it hasn't even been released yet, but a very, very exciting time for Delano Public Schools. About a week and a half ago, I get a call by a reporter from Forbes magazine. And he says, you know, Matt, you're the superintendent. I don't even know where Delano is. And I says, well, it's 30 miles west of Minneapolis. You know where Minneapolis is, don't you? Well, yeah, I know where Minneapolis is. That's where we are. And he goes, well, here, we've been crunching the data nationally on rating school districts based on two major criteria. One, the excellence of assessment and performance of students academically, which we are near the top 1% in both math and reading in this state. And two, affordable housing. In the entire nation, this district is number one. Number one in the entire nation. Pretty proud moment. I know Tracy's going to be sending that. We just were asked, we're going to be on the front page of their website. So we're going to get a picture of some students around actually the Tiger Rock. So I don't know if, no, I don't think they're here yet, but that'll be a little national exposure for those folks too that donated the rock, and so it's very, very interesting. Obviously, the Midwest has an advantage. The Midwest housing is obviously you get more house than if you go to the coasts. That's obviously known, so the Midwest does have an advantage that way. But then when you compare all the school districts in this nation and you look at those two criteria, it's not just little old Delano anymore. It's an extremely, and he asked me, he called me up and he says, I just got to find out, I've never heard of Delano before. He says, well, you have this, sometimes, I used to live in Houston and you had NASA there, and then that made a big difference with kids in the school district. Do you have a college or a university near you? No. Well, can you explain that when we crunched these numbers and took all the online data and put it all into our system and utilized these criteria, why you're number one? I go, yeah, I can explain that. We have a community that's extremely supportive, but in addition to that, they have extremely high expectations that we perform and we educate our students to the best of our ability. And that's a high expectation. It's just been a tradition of excellence here for a number of years. There's folks in the audience, Lloyd can talk about this, was a conversation in the 60s. This has been a tradition that's been going on for a long time period. And now we're going to be recognized from it from Forbes magazine. So look forward to new things. Of course, we'll get that all out to you in the very near future. It's exciting times for our school district. I think it's extremely important that now we have the opportunity, and I do truly say, as I am fortunate to be able to serve as the superintendent of this school district, to look to the future now and to be able to move this district into getting even better. Because I am a firm believer, organizations do two things. They either get better or they start to decline. They never stay the same. You either move forward and continue to improve, or you'll start to decline. And we're not in the business of declining. We're in the business of staying number one on that list as long as we possibly can. Okay? Thank you very much. And I'd entertain any questions that you might have, if we have time permitted. Are we there? Cal.
Just a comment. This thing, I believe, we put too much emphasis on for kids for a number of reasons, and I'm sure there's been a lot of discussion on this already. Is you look at kids and what are they doing around this thing way too much. I don't think we put enough emphasis on basic skills, such as what we know. Your son Lucas is going to an engineering college, which we really like because he's going to learn things that we need. He's going to learn pneumatics, hydraulics, electrical, basic skills. Not so much, this wireless data. And I think that's what this country is lacking, is basic skills. We need welders. We need, we ask a kid to take a long motor blade off and sharpen it. Most of them are going to have trouble doing that. We need just basic skills. Industrial arts. Is there an industrial arts class in Delano?
Yeah. Yes, there is.
Those are good classes because they learn how to survive in the household, so they don't have to take the lawnmower or something else to get sharpened. Just basic stuff.
I knew that was coming.
He's taking his job away. But you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I just think too much is put on the cell phone communication.
Yep. Cal, I think your point is very well taken. Again, the question is there comment is, I'm repeating it, Cal, for the recording, is the emphasis too much on the mobile device and not having enough of the, and I wouldn't even call them basic skills, I would call them essential skills that should be required. And that's one of the things in our curriculum that we will look at, and that's why I added that quote from Bill Gates: technology isn't the answer, it's a tool. It can be used. We have courses in our high school right now called digital electronics, and it doesn't study how to, you're on the cell phone. It studies the electronics on how this thing works. So taking it apart, finding out what it looks like in principles of engineering. Those courses that are offered throughout 6th grade through the high school. So it's a very valid point. And that's why, again, when we look at our curriculum document, it is a living, breathing document to make sure that hey, wait a minute, are we missing something here? Should we put more emphasis on those essential skills along with obviously using this device? Because we're already seeing, though, it's like the tidal wave, over 80% of our students have one of these. So are we going to make sure that in at least our educational system that they use them appropriately, that they use them to their benefit without losing sight of those essential skills that the students need to have when they graduate from our schools? So great point. Other questions? Yes.
Control, wasn't long ago when we first prohibited students from using their cell phones. They had to be shut off when they come to school. But now they don't have to talk on the phone, they can just text. Do you have control over that? Kids are there to learn instead of texting their friends around the world?
Yeah, I think we've gone through a journey of, and this happens, I think, on a lot of issues through society. You can ban it to only so much. They'll find a way to use that thing when it's in their pocket or when they could use it, if it's lunch or during classes. And we've actually moved to a point, specifically in the high school for sure, is that this is a tool that could be used to help with the delivery of curriculum. But it obviously, the guidelines and those parameters are decided by the teacher in that specific classroom. So I've got teachers that say, you have to bring your mobile device because I'm going to be utilizing this particular program that's online that you will access for the benefit of the lesson plan. And I've got other instructors that are saying, we're not going to use the phone during this time period. You need to put that away. So about 5 years ago, we changed our phone policy to leave that up to individual instructors because it was such a variable of when they could use it, when they can't, for educational purposes. So we left that up to the instructors. And our students are smart enough to figure out when they can use it and when they can't. And they know the consequences if they're using it inappropriately or not at the right time. And we haven't had really that much of an issue with it. But the bottom line is that it's not a cell phone anymore. It's a mobile device. This is a computer. And we have to use this tool. It's used every day. I use this every day. And I think it's important that we facilitate the appropriate use of that in our educational systems as well. So it's morphed into not just texting anymore. It is well beyond that. Technology now is well beyond just a cell phone use or a text use. But we let the teachers make that decision.
Are you teaching cursive handwriting anymore? I heard that's being stopped.
I'd have to check. It's been a while since I've been an elementary school principal. And again, that would be a conversation that's going to be coming up with our curriculum work.
Well, to answer that question, actually, I know my son's in 3rd grade and they're learning it this year.
They're what?
They're learning it in 3rd grade.
They still are learning. I've heard that they drop, and I'm wondering how long some kids even sign a birthday card if they can't learn cursive.
I think there's those essential skills that need to remain. Absolutely. But now they can sign online. There's digital signatures. And it looks really cool, too. So, and I think they're being recognized in industry as well, digital signatures. So it's amazing. It's an amazing time with the use of technology. Any other questions or comments? Yes?
I'll just comment on one very cool thing that's evolved that I've seen with my daughter is the use of podcasts and teachers, putting the lesson on a video that the kids will watch at night. So I can be there, I can see what they're learning. I can try to, help my daughter with, her math when, 30 plus years removed from math. It's a great tool, and it follows, if any of you have ever seen the I think it's a huge, great use of technology.
Yeah, the question again, and I keep forgetting to do this to repeat because people want to hear the questions as well. There was a question by Steve who talked about, are they still doing cursive writing in the schools? Thank you very much. From a parent's perspective, my kids have all graduated, so I'm a little out of touch, which reminds me I better get into those classrooms a little more often and find out what's going on. And then the next question is the opportunity to use podcasts. Actually, in the high school, they're flipping their classrooms. They're in 2 math classrooms right now. The idea is that when you and I were in math class, the teacher would stand up, present the new concept, go through some problems, guided problems, and then if there was any time left in the class, you had some time to start on your homework and you finished it at home. Now there's a couple of math teachers in the high school that are flipping that. They're going online, doing their lecture presentation of the new concept, and it's all recorded online. The kids access it at home. So their homework is to go home to listen to the teacher. They can stop and start and figure out where they missed certain steps, go back, practice problems if they want, see the practice problems there. And then when they come back into the classroom, the teacher's able to differentiate, okay, where are you at? Well, I didn't quite get these concepts here. Well, all right, we'll start with a group there and got a group there. And that's what they do. And it's a completely different way of looking at how to facilitate the teaching and learning business. I can tell you this, the teacher in our day and age, when I was in high school and prior to that, the teacher was the controller and central deliverer of the knowledge. That's not the case anymore. The knowledge is everywhere, at their fingertips. The teacher has to facilitate the learning still. So different ways of doing that are being explored. So thank you very much. Any other comments, questions? Yes? Absolutely. A little commercial for SciTech. That's great. Thank you very much for reminding me. There's a couple of members within the chamber, part of the economic task force, that are partnering with the school district. Dr. Heil, the high school principal, is the lead person in the school district. SciTech is going to be a culmination of a partnership between the school district, the business community in this community, and the higher institution community in this area. Probably more towards the West Metro as far as that's concerned. And this is going to culminate, without getting into very specific details, that isn't all been mapped out completely yet, but there's a dedicated group of individuals, both from the business community and the school district, that have been working on and will continue to work on putting this SciTech Festival together. And it's based on STEAM, which is, if you've heard in some educational areas of STEM, which is science, technology, education, and I think it's manufacturing. But now including the arts, okay? And that means the visual arts, the language arts, to be able to utilize language. So students are being exposed to not only the technological sides of things, but also to be able to articulate, to speak, to write, to listen in the communication arts aligned within this. And this is going to culminate in a week of exciting activities that I believe starts April 7th is the actual SciTech Festival. We're going to shut down the whole Tiger Activity Center. Corporations are going to be able to come in from our community here in business in Delano and to be able to show, again, what students are able to, here's some things that potentially could be waiting for you after you leave and continue on your education or go into a company and work and get additional training. So it's a great partnership between the business community and the district, and Dr. Heil will be running this. We're very, very excited to see that layout. There's going to be tours of companies that students can go on throughout the week, and then that Thursday is going to be the culminating of the huge festivals. And then there's going to be the higher education. So the student and the parents and the community members can see the connection of, okay, I'm doing the work here in high school. This means what I could possibly be doing in that company or that company with those skill sets, possibly what I'm interested in pursuing. And then also, okay, I need some additional training before I go right into that company. Here's Dunwoody, here are some other, to be able to say, I'm interested in looking at welding, I'm interested in looking at that. You know, Cal mentioned my son. My son had an invaluable experience working at Cal Brandt. He got real life reality as far as working for a company and knowing what those skill sets are. And he started at the ground floor. He's a machinist. He learned how to weld. He learned all of those essential skills. That's invaluable, and that's what really the concept of SciTech is all about, is to continue to expose our students to those opportunities. And it's a great community builder that'll fuse, again, continue to foster that relationship between the community members, especially in this case, the business community and the school district. So we're very excited for that to come out. Thanks for bringing that up. Any other questions or comments? I can't hold up food anymore. I think it might be here.
so much.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
Yes, lunch is here. If you could grab your lunch and then come back in. We just have a few things to talk about before the end of the meeting.